The Seeker's Lamp Podcast. Season 1, Episode 18. The Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn. If you are interested in the history and practices of Western occultism, you may have heard of the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn, a secret society that flourished in the late 19th and early 20th century. The Golden Dawn, as it is commonly known, was one of the most influential and innovative groups in the development of modern magic, astrology, tarot, alchemy, and other esoteric arts. Origins of the Golden Dawn. The Golden Dawn was founded in 1888 by 3 Freemasons and members of the Societas Rosicruciana in Anglia, SRIA, a Rosicrucian order that studied Christian mysticism and occultism. The 3 founders were William Robert Woodman, William Wynne Westcott, and Samuel Liddell MacGregor Mathers. They claimed to have received a set of manuscripts written in a cipher code that contained the outlines of the rituals and teachings of a secret order called the Golden Dawn. The manuscripts were supposedly passed to them by Kenneth R. H. Mackenzie, a Masonic scholar, who received them from an unknown source. The founders deciphered the manuscripts and used them as the basis for creating their own order. The Golden Dawn was not a single organization, but a system of 3 orders: the Outer Order, the Inner Order, and the Third Order. The Outer Order was open to anyone who passed an initiation ritual and agreed to follow the rules and regulations of the order. The Outer Order taught the basics of Hermetic Kabbalah, astrology, tarot, geomancy, and elemental magic. The Inner Order was accessible only to those who completed the curriculum of the Outer Order and passed a second initiation ritual. The Inner Order taught more advanced topics such as scrying, astral travel, alchemy, and ceremonial magic. The Third Order was mysterious and elusive, said to consist of secret chiefs who communicated with the leaders of the Inner Order through spiritual means. The Third Order was supposed to be the source of all the wisdom and authority of the Golden Dawn. Structure and grades of the Golden Dawn. The Golden Dawn had a hierarchical structure based on a series of grades that corresponded to different levels of knowledge and attainment. The grades were also associated with different positions on the Tree of Life, a diagram that represents the 10 spheres, Sephiroth, and 22 paths of creation in Kabbalah. The grades were divided into 4 groups. The Neophyte grade, 0 is equal to 0, which was the entry level for all members. It corresponded to Mawkuth, the 10th Sephira that represents the physical world. The First Order grades, 1 is equal to 10 to 4 is equal to 7, which comprised the Outer Order. They corresponded to Yesod, the 9th Sephira that represents the astral plane, Hod, the 8th Sephira that represents intellect, Netzach, the 7th Sephira that represents emotion, and Tifereth, the 6th Sephira that represents harmony. The First Order grades were named after 4 elements: Zelator, 1 is equal to 10, for earth; Theoricus, 2 is equal to 9, for air; Practicus, 3 is equal to 8, for water; and Philosophus, 4 is equal to 7, for fire. The Second Order grades, 5 is equal to 6 to 7 is equal to 4, which comprised the Inner Order. They corresponded to Geburah, the 5th Sephira that represents severity; Chesed, the 4th Sephira that represents mercy; Bina, the 3rd Sephira that represents understanding; and Chokmah, the 2nd Sephira that represents wisdom. The Second Order grades were named after different aspects of the Rosy Cross: Adeptus Minor, 5 is equal to 6, for red rose; Adeptus Major, 6 is equal to 5, for white cross; Adeptus Exemptus, 7 is equal to 4, for red cross. The Third Order grades, 8 is equal to 3 to 10 is equal to 1, which comprised the Third Order. They corresponded to Kether, the 1st Sephira that represents crown; Ein Sof, or the limitless light; and Ein Sof, the limitless nothing. The Third Order grades were named after different aspects of divinity: Magister Templi, 8 is equal to 3, for Master of the Temple; Magus, 9 is equal to 2, for Magician; Ipsissimus, 10 is equal to 1, for He who is Himself. Each grade had its own curriculum, rituals, symbols, tools, and obligations. The members had to pass examinations and demonstrate their proficiency before advancing to the next grade. The members also had to swear oaths of secrecy and loyalty to the order and its chiefs. Membership of the Golden Dawn. The Golden Dawn was unique among occult orders of its time for admitting both men and women on an equal basis. The order attracted many people from different backgrounds, professions, and interests, who shared a common passion for exploring the mysteries of the universe. Some of the most famous members of the Golden Dawn were Samuel Liddell MacGregor Mathers, 1854 to 1918. S. L. MacGregor Mathers was a British occultist and Freemason who was born in 1854. He was fascinated by the Kabbalah, alchemy, tarot, and other esoteric topics. He translated several ancient texts into English, such as the Book of Abramelin, the Key of Solomon, and the Kabbalah Unveiled. In 1888, he co-founded the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn with William Wynne Westcott and William Robert Woodman. It was based on a hierarchy of grades and initiations, and it claimed to have access to the secrets of the ancient Rosicrucians. The Golden Dawn attracted many influential and famous people, such as W.B. Yeats, Arthur Conan Doyle, Aleister Crowley, and Moina Mathers, who was Mathers' wife and a talented artist. The members practiced rituals, meditation, astral projection, scrying, and other forms of magic. However, the Golden Dawn also faced many conflicts and controversies. Mathers claimed to be in contact with mysterious entities called the Secret Chiefs, who supposedly guided the order. He also had a rivalry with Aleister Crowley, who wanted to reform the order according to his own vision. In 1900, Mathers was expelled from the Golden Dawn by some of his former allies. Mathers then moved to Paris and founded a new group called Alpha Et Omega, which continued the teachings of the Golden Dawn. He died in 1918, leaving behind a legacy of occult literature and influence. Arthur Edward Waite, 1857 to 1942. Arthur Edward Waite, a British poet and scholar who was a prominent member of the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn, a secret society devoted to the study and practice of magic and metaphysics. Waite was also the co-creator of the famous Rider-Waite Tarot deck, which is still widely used today for divination and meditation. Waite was born in 1857 in Brooklyn, New York, but moved to England with his mother after his father died at sea. He was raised as a Catholic and became fascinated by psychical research and occult literature after his sister died in 1874. He studied many branches of esotericism in the library of the British Museum and discovered the writings of Eliphas Levi, a French occultist and magician. In 1891, Waite joined the Outer Order of the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn, a magical order that was founded in 1887. Waite was introduced to the order by E. W. Barrage, a fellow occultist and Freemason. Waite withdrew from the Golden Dawn in 1893. He later rejoined in 1896. In 1899, he entered the Second Order of the Golden Dawn, which was led by Samuel Liddell MacGregor Mathers, one of the founders of the order and a self-proclaimed authority on magic and occultism. However, Waite soon became disillusioned with Mathers and his authoritarian leadership. He also disagreed with Mathers' emphasis on ceremonial magic and his interpretation of the cipher manuscripts. Waite believed that magic was not an end itself. However, a means to achieve spiritual enlightenment and union with God. He was more interested in mysticism, Christian symbolism, and the Holy Grail than in performing rituals and invoking spirits. In 1903, Waite left the Golden Dawn and founded his own order, called the Independent and Rectified Rite of the Golden Dawn. He later renamed it as the Fellowship of the Rosy Cross. This order was more Christian-oriented and focused on meditation and contemplation rather than magic. Waite also revised some of the rituals and teachings of the Golden Dawn to suit his own views. Waite wrote extensively on occult and esoteric matters, as well as poetry and fiction. He translated and reissued several important mystical and alchemical works, such as the Book of Lambspring, the Chemical Wedding of Christian Rosenkreutz, the Cloud upon the Sanctuary, the Key of Solomon, the Book of Ceremonial Magic, and the Holy Kabbalah. He also wrote original works on topics such as Rosicrucianism, Freemasonry, Hermeticism, Kabbalah, Tarot, Grail lore, and secret societies. Some of his most notable works are The Secret Doctrine in Israel, a new encyclopedia of Freemasonry, The Pictorial Key to the Tarot, The Holy Grail, its legends and symbolism, The Brotherhood of the Rosy Cross, The Hidden Church of the Holy Grail, The Book of Destiny, and The Quest for Bloods. Waite died in 1942 in London at the age of 84. He was buried in Bishopsbourne Village in Kent. He is remembered as one of the most influential figures in modern Western occultism and as a pioneer of systematic study of esoteric history and tradition. Aleister Crowley, 1875 to 1947. Aleister Crowley was a man of many talents and interests, but he is best known for his role in the development of modern occultism. He was born in 1875 in England. He grew up in a strict religious family. He rebelled against his upbringing and pursued a life of adventure, exploration, and experimentation. He traveled the world, climbed mountains, wrote books, and practiced various forms of magic and mysticism. Crowley founded a new religion called Thelema, which means will in Greek. Thelema is based on the idea that every individual has a true will, a unique purpose in life that they should discover and follow. Thelema also has a moral code, summarized by the phrase, "Do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law." This does not mean that one can do whatever they want without consequences, but rather that one should act in harmony with their true nature and destiny. Crowley was a controversial figure in his time, and he remains so today. He was accused of being a Satanist, a drug addict, a sex fiend, and a traitor. He was also admired by many for his creativity, intelligence, charisma, and courage. He influenced many artists, writers, musicians, and thinkers, such as William Butler Yeats, Aldous Huxley, Timothy Leary, David Bowie, and Alan Moore. Crowley died in 1947, but his legacy lives on. His books and teachings are still widely read and studied by occultists and seekers of all kinds. His philosophy of Thelema is still relevant in a world where people are looking for meaning and freedom. His life story is still fascinating and inspiring for those who dare to follow their own path. William Butler Yeats. William Butler Yeats, 1865 to 1939, was one of the most influential poets of the 20th century, who also had a deep interest in the occult and metaphysical. He was a member of the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn. Yeats joined the Outer Order in 1890, after being introduced by his friend Maud Gonne, an Irish nationalist and his lifelong muse. He was fascinated by the rituals, symbols, and teachings of the Golden Dawn, which he saw as a source of inspiration and knowledge for his poetry. He also met other influential figures in the order, such as Arthur Edward Waite, Florence Farr, Annie Horniman, and Aleister Crowley. Yeats advanced to the Inner Order in 1893. Then he became more involved in the politics and conflicts within the Golden Dawn. He clashed with Crowley, who was a rebellious and controversial magician who wanted to take over the order and reform it according to his own vision. In 1900, Crowley attempted to seize some of the order's secret papers from its London headquarters, where Yeats and other members confronted him. The confrontation escalated into a physical fight, which ended with Yeats kicking Crowley down the stairs. This incident is known as the Battle of Blythe Road. Yeats remained loyal to the original leaders of the Golden Dawn, especially MacGregor Mathers, who was one of his mentors and initiators. He also developed his own system of symbolism and mythology, based on his studies of Celtic folklore, Irish history, and Eastern philosophy. He incorporated these elements into his poetry and plays, creating a unique style that blended mysticism and modernism. Yeats stayed in contact with some of his fellow Golden Dawn members until his death in 1939. He also continued to explore other forms of occultism, such as spiritualism, automatic writing, and astrology. He believed that poetry was a kind of magic that could evoke energies and knowledge from beyond normal consciousness. He wrote in his memoirs, "The mystical life is the center of all that I do and all that I think and all that I write." To illustrate his connection with the Golden Dawn and its influence on his poetry, here are some quotes from Yeats himself. "I wished for a system of thought that would leave my imagination free to create as it chose and yet make all that it created or could create part of the one history, and that the souls. I had always considered myself a poet who took an interest in philosophy, but now I found myself driven to create a philosophy. I am persuaded that our intellects at 20 contain all the truths we shall ever find. I have spread my dreams under your feet, tread softly because you tread on my dreams." Florence Farr. Florence Farr, 1860 to 1917, was not only a successful actress and writer, but also a passionate feminist and social reformer. She was involved in many progressive movements and organizations, such as the Fabian Society, which advocated for democratic socialism and social justice. She was also a close friend and collaborator of George Bernard Shaw, one of the most influential playwrights of his time. She starred in several of his plays and helped him edit his works. But Florence Farr was not only interested in the arts and politics. She was also fascinated by the occult and the mystical. She joined the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn, a secret society that practiced magic and studied ancient wisdom. She became a leader of several temples of the order and attained high ranks in its hierarchy. She was known as Sapientia Sapienti Dono Data, which means wisdom given to the wise as a gift. She wrote several books and articles on magic and esoteric subjects, such as the Dancing Faun, Egyptian magic, and the Way of Wisdom. Florence Farr was a woman ahead of her time, who pursued her interests and passions with courage and intelligence. She was a pioneer in many fields and a role model for many women. She died in 1917, at the age of 57, after a long illness. She left behind a legacy of artistic, intellectual, and spiritual achievements that deserve to be remembered and celebrated. Dion Fortune. Dion Fortune, 1890 to 1946, was born as Violet Mary Firth in Wales, and grew up in a Christian household. She had a natural gift for clairvoyance and psychic phenomena, which she developed through her studies of psychology and occultism. She joined the Theosophical Society in 1919, and later became a member of the Golden Dawn. She left the Golden Dawn in 1924, after a conflict with one of its leaders, Moina Mathers. She then founded her own group, the Fraternity of the Inner Light, which aimed to provide a more practical and ethical approach to esotericism. She also started writing books and articles on various topics related to magic, Kabbalah, astrology, and psychology. Some of her most famous works include the Mystical Kabbalah, Psychic Self-Defense, the Cosmic Doctrine, and the Sea Priestess. Dion Fortune was not only a prolific writer, but also a charismatic teacher and leader. She attracted many students and followers, who learned from her lectures, correspondence courses, and rituals. She also engaged in magical warfare against Nazi Germany during World War II, using her psychic abilities to protect Britain from invasion. She died in 1946, after a long illness. Dion Fortune's legacy is still alive and influential today. Many modern occultists and pagans consider her as one of their main sources of inspiration and guidance. Her books are widely read and studied by people who want to learn more about Western esotericism and its applications. Her teachings are also continued by several groups that claim to be successors or affiliates of the Fraternity of the Inner Light. Dion Fortune was a remarkable woman who made a significant contribution to the history and practice of Western esotericism. She was a pioneer in integrating psychology and magic, and in creating a more accessible and ethical form of esotericism. She was also a visionary who foresaw the challenges and opportunities of the modern world. Israel Regardie. Israel Regardie, 1907 to 1985, was a remarkable figure in the history of modern occultism. He was born in London in 1907 to a Jewish family that had emigrated from Russia. He became interested in magic and mysticism at an early age, and joined the Hermetic Order of the Golden Dawn. He soon rose to prominence within the order. He was initiated into its highest grade. In 1928, he moved to Paris to work as the personal secretary of Aleister Crowley, the notorious magician and founder of Thelema, a religion based on the motto, "Do what thou wilt." Rigardi was fascinated by Crowley's teachings and personality, but also witnessed his dark side, his drug addiction, sexual exploits, and megalomania. He eventually broke away from Crowley and returned to England, where he became one of his most vocal critics. Rigardi dedicated his life to preserving and disseminating the Golden Dawn tradition, which he considered to be the purest form of Western esotericism. He published many books on various aspects of magic, Kabbalah, alchemy, and psychotherapy, such as The Tree of Life, The Middle Pillar, The Golden Dawn, and A Garden of Pomegranates. He also practiced as a therapist, using Reichian methods to heal emotional and energetic blockages. He died in 1985, leaving behind a rich legacy of knowledge and wisdom for generations of seekers. The Golden Dawn did not last long as a unified organization. It suffered from internal conflicts, schisms, scandals, and lawsuits that led to its dissolution in the early 20th century. However, its legacy lives on in many ways. Many of its members continue to practice and teach its system of magic in their own groups or as individuals. Many of its teachings and techniques influenced other occult movements and traditions, such as Wicca, Thelema, Chaos Magic, and New Age spirituality. Many of its symbols and concepts became part of popular culture, such as in literature, art, music, film, and games. The Golden Dawn was more than just a secret society. It was a visionary experiment in creating a new synthesis of ancient wisdom and modern science. It was a school of initiation that aimed to awaken the latent powers of the human soul. It was a community of seekers who dared to explore the unknown realms of reality.